Now we'll follow our official integration guide and set up the database. So let me quickly click on the integration guide link as we can see here. Now we have this section called creating the entitlement table. So the database is needed to store the entitlement information that comes with every purchase made through Freemius. Think about entitlement as the features your user will get when they subscribe to your plans. When we store the purchase information locally, then we don't have to go to the Freemius API to understand the entitlements of the user. Instead, we can just query our local database. Now, in our docs, we have given recommended schema of the database table. If you are using Prisma or Drizzle, we have shared the exact code. You can also refer to the generic PostgreSQL code as we can see here and map it to your own ORM. For this tutorial, since we are using Prisma, we have created the database table already by copying the schema into our SaaS. Now, before we understand the content of the table, let us quickly talk about the concept of licenses. So, license is what governs access of features in Freemius. For example, I might have purchased a license, or I might have subscribed to the professional plan for a year, and for the entire year I'm entitled to all of the features that comes with the professional plan. However, it is very possible that 3 months from now I will choose to cancel the subscription. Yet that should not block my access to the SaaS because I have paid in full for the entire year. Now, to provide flexibilities and to make such implementation easier, Freemius gives you a license as well as a subscription. So what we recommend is that we track and synchronize the license instead of the subscription alone. For example, from the developer dashboard here, if I go to the license, I can see that we have a license entity being created here, which comes with a subscription which will expire 12 months from now. Now coming back to the database table, what we store in the database table essentially identifies the license itself. For example, we have the FS license ID, FS plan ID, and the FS pricing ID, which determines the external ID of the license from Freemius, the plan for which the license is valid, as well as the pricing. We also have expiration and is cancelled, which determines when the license will cancel because of its association with a subscription, like we just saw in the developer dashboard. And the is cancelled is a flag that we can control from the developer dashboard to force cancel a license. Then we have the type, which determines whether this purchase or this license came from subscription or one-off purchases, which we will see in the future. Finally, we have a way to map the Freemius user with our local user of the SaaS. So we have the user ID, which points to the ID of the user table in our SaaS, and we have FS user ID, which determines what is the ID of the user that came from Freemius. So the exact implementation on how this mapping would work would depend on the data structure of your SaaS. However, using our example, you can get the basic idea. And if you are using our example as the base of your SaaS, then remember that everything comes included in the GitHub repository. So you can just clone and follow the instructions to get started. So this concludes how to create the needed database table for the upcoming integrations. In the next part of the video, we will talk about the integration functions themselves.